And at the end of the summertime, it was a summer program, they'd offered me a full-time job. So rather than go to Europe, we stayed, we got married, and I ended up working for the recreation department, running
for the City of London.
For the City of London, yeah. It was run by the PUC. It was a different model. Yeah, it was a different model there. But it worked. It was great. Good group of people. And I ran the east end of the town, which was a tough end of town. Yeah, so there was that. And then after 9 months, I got another job offer in Sarnia. So I went to Sarnia and worked in the recreation department in Sarnia, running the south end of town, which is also the tough end of town. I think they had my number. I'm not sure. But and I worked there for a year and a half. Sarnia was not my favorite town, and just in terms of living there. And so I got lucky. I applied for lots of jobs, and the Sainte-Marie job came up in the Globe. I applied, didn't get an interview, and but I also applied for a job working for the ministry in Red Lake, believe it or not, in the north. And they flew me to Sudbury, and I had the interview. They offered me the job in the interview. It was a consultant working for the Ministry of Culture and Rec, and
like doing the grants program?
Exactly, it was Winterio. Basically it was Winterio, yeah. and trying to help communities help themselves. That's in essence what it was. It was a great job. I really was looking forward to that. A lot what I was doing when I was in Sarnia and in London. And but the next day they called back and said, sorry, we can't do this because you don't speak French. And I said, you're right, I don't speak French. So I was pretty bummed out. The consultant that was in that interview was also the consultant that was interviewing for the job at Sainte-Marie. And they had gone through 2 or 3 rounds of interviews and they couldn't find anybody. So the consultant said, you may want to look at this Byrick guy. And so I got a call and went to Toronto, thought I totally blew the interview, ended up getting the job. So the year before that, Joanne and I had gone on sort of a road trip. And we came to Midland because I wanted to go to Sainte-Marie. I'd never been there before. I had an incredible day. Just incredible day. I think we got there at opening. You know, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I ran into Steckley, John Steckley. He was in the blacksmith shop. Honestly, I bet you I was there for 3 hours. I'm sure I drove him crazy, but maybe not, because John liked somebody that was engaging.
He sure did.
Yeah, and we stayed out at Bomb Beach, and I remember telling Joanne, you know, one day I'd love to work here. And off we went, and sure enough, the next year I get this job. So the interview team was Burke, Penny, yes. Robert Montgomery, yes. And this fellow, and I can't remember his name, it's not awful. Yeah. It'll come to me. And, yeah, so that was that. And then we moved from Sarnia to here, and it was like moving to heaven. So yeah, I like winter, so we moved on December 21st, I think, just before Christmas, and it started snowing. We went on the road, like interviewing students for the first 2 weeks and first 3 weeks in January, and it started snowing about December 26th and didn't stop for a month. And Joanne just wondered, what the hell have you gotten me into? You know?
Snowbanks.
We lived on Yonge Street, and so we rented Doug Cole's place. Doug was a former manager, so of course it's 2 lanes, like it's a 4-lane road. So when the plow goes by, which is like 8 times a day, your driveway would fill up. So we were a 1-car family. Poor Joanne.
Welcome to Midland.
She still talks about that. Yeah. So then it was just a terrific job.
So that was 77 or 78?
December of 77.
So you started at Sainte-Marie in December of 77?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then worked till 89 at Sainte-Marie. And then 1 year I did both the establishments in Penetang and Sainte-Marie. John Barrett Hamilton was on a secondment down at Upper Canada Village. So I did both. And then in 89, I went over to the establishments. Yeah.
Now, I don't recall you being overly innovative in 78 or 79, but you sure made up for it through the 80s. I don't know of any general manager that's ever incorporated as many attempts at doing various things as you did.
Yeah, well, even 79, it was like it is now. It's a changing environment, and I think the year that I went on the road, we had $100,000 budget cut out of staff salaries, which was a lot of money out of even in today's dollars. So we had to be innovative. That's when the Friends started in 79, and Friends of Sainte-Marie, which is a way to run part of the operation only using a nonprofit organization. And the same goes, there's a lot of objectives. I think that's why they hired me. They hired me principally because I was not an academic. That wasn't the focus. And a lot of people that had applied for the job, that was their focus. Yeah. So I'd worked with budgets before, and I'd sort of do the hands-on stuff. And I have the idea here and there. And they wanted somebody to come in and try to get the community involved, and that was one of the real focuses. So really the $100,000 budget cut was almost a godsend, really, when you think about it, because that's how we started.
Forced you to go outside.
Yeah, forced us to look at the Friends and starting a cooperating association. And then the special events were really geared towards finding a hook that would bring people to Sainte-Marie. In those days, as they probably are now, marketing was very different. Like there was no social media or anything like that, no websites. So it was all done by brochures and media, as in newspapers and radio. And it was so expensive. We couldn't get into any of the major markets at all. And at the same time as even the local market, we had a heck of a time getting local people to come out because they'd been once, like why would I go again? So the focus really was trying to generate something media-wise that would be a hook to get into the Toronto media, some of the major centers farther afield, and then also appeal to the local market to get people bringing them out. Sharon Armstrong started I forget what it was, but bring a relative, bring a friend with you, so that when people come to visit, bring them out to Sainte-Marie, and that was part of the focus of those things. Sean Deckty was, they returned to such a place. The whole thing was about a parade down the main street, and getting community people involved with paddling and something that isn't really related to touring an historic site, but bring them around to the historic site so there's activities for people there to do, and it was a big success.
Yeah, I think the very best program that was created at that point was a Native interpretive program.
Yeah.
And I know I spent quite a bit of time on that in its initial format. But it's, you really did come up with a lot of great ideas.
That was one of the. That was not my idea, although it was our idea, and there was a lot of people involved.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and Sharon, yourself, and a lot of people were involved. And I remember the whole catalyst was Marie Brunel.
Yes.
And Marie was a Falstaff member, and she was in
a greeting granny.
Yeah, I still can't believe that. I think the greeting grannies were 35 years old.
True.
But Marie was just in uniform, like modern day uniform, and I remember the day. In fact, I can remember the day that Sharon and I met with Marie, and she wanted the meeting and came in and said, I've just enjoyed my time here, and I'm very interested in my culture. And Marie was born in LaFontaine. No, she grew up in LaFontaine, but she was born in Maniwaki in Quebec, an Aboriginal woman. And she was just learning. I remember her saying, I think I was in grade 8 before I discovered that I was Aboriginal, And so she was rediscovering her culture. And so that was the beginnings of the whole, what we called Native program at that time. Marie went up to Thunder Bay, spent some time with
the folks up there.
McDonald, forget her first name, isn't that awful? It'll come to me. And and they had a terrific Aboriginal program up there. anyway, she came back, and that was the beginning. And boy, she was just fantastic. She was a great communicator. Could really handle people in a diplomatic way. Took a lot of abuse, you know, and she was able to turn that around to most people, so that when they left, they had a whole lot of respect.